The film opens with a dramatic bank robbery, but these criminals aren't after money. They are searching for a device known simply as the plot. This powerful machine has the terrifying ability to control human minds, overriding free will and turning people against one another. In the midst of the chaos, we are introduced to Lieutenant Frank Drebin, a highly skilled officer who has disguised himself as a young schoolgirl. Calmly, he walks past the police stationed outside the bank, who are completely unaware of the danger inside, and enters the building with a single-minded purpose: to stop the heist. Inside, the situation is tense. The robbers move quickly, armed and dangerous, but Frank doesn't hesitate. He confronts the criminals one by one, using a combination of clever tactics, agility, and sheer determination. With each confrontation, he subdues the robbers, demonstrating why he is one of the most capable officers in the force. However, Frank has stopped the immediate threat, but failed to secure the device, a failure that will echo throughout the story. Later, Frank arrives at police headquarters. He is welcomed with cheers and applause, hailed as a hero for his bravery during the bank robbery. But before he can enjoy the praise, he and his partner Ed are summoned to a higher office. Their superiors deliver unwelcome news. Some of the criminals Frank recently arrested are now in the ICU, not because of their crimes, but because Frank's method of interrogation and takedown. The bank robbery case is taken away from Frank and Ed and reassigned. They are given a new, less significant case, which leaves them feeling frustrated, sidelined, and underestimated despite their capabilities. Assigned as detectives, Frank and Ed take on a new case involving the death of Simon Davenport, a 53-year-old man with no wife or children. His only immediate family is his sister, Beth Davenport. Beth, strikingly beautiful and composed, meets Frank at the police station. She expresses her disbelief that Simon's death was a suicide. In her eyes, it was murder. She explains that her brother was a talented computer programmer who once worked for Richard Kane, a wealthy and powerful businessman whose company specializes in robotics and electric vehicles. Beth's conviction and the personal connection to the victim immediately make the case more compelling for Frank. Curious about Richard Kane and his possible connection to Simon's death, Frank arranges a meeting. Richard immediately recognizes Frank, aware of his reputation as a highly skilled lieutenant. He even shows knowledge of the recent bank robbery case, creating a tense dynamic. Frank observes Richard carefully, studying his words and actions for clues. Richard's unusual behavior with a robot and the peculiar way he lights a cigarette, similar to the fire evidence at Simon's property, raises Frank's suspicion further. As the investigation unfolds, Frank visits Richard's bar to access CCTV footage. Beth is also present, still pursuing her own investigation into her brother's death. Richard tries to distract her with charm and conversation, hoping to prevent her from interfering. Frank uses this distraction to slip into the CCTV room. There, he confronts guards and overcomes them with skill and determination, finally securing the footage that reveals critical evidence. Enraged, Richard orders his men to respond, escalating the stakes of the confrontation. Back at home, Frank is surprised to find Beth waiting outside his apartment. She steps inside, and the two begin tidying up, creating a quiet domestic scene in contrast to the dangerous world outside. Despite the tension and constant surveillance by Richard's henchmen, Frank and Beth share small glances and moments of connection. Their bond grows quietly, establishing the emotional core of the story. Frank continues investigating and learns about a journalist named Douglas O'Reilly, who may hold essential information about the plot device. At Douglas's home, Frank finds the door slightly open. Inside, he discovers a blood-stained knife, a note, and a phone with instructions to call and confess. "I did it." When Frank follows the directions, he finds Douglas dead, a trap designed to frame him. The police arrive, forcing Frank to flee. He jumps into his electric car, but the vehicle has been hacked, moving out of his control. On the screen, Richard's face appears, making it clear that he is orchestrating this plot and intends to eliminate Frank. Using his quick thinking and bravery, Frank smashes the car window, forces the vehicle into a spin, and escapes safely. Now on the run and pursued by both the police and Richard's men, Frank's only trusted ally is Ed. Meanwhile, Richard's right-hand man has been captured by Frank. He is brought to a location disguised as a hospital, which is actually a part of Frank's plan. Under intense questioning, the man eventually confesses, revealing Richard's group orchestrated the journalist's murder and intentionally framed Frank. The case is handed over to Internal Affairs, led by a strict and ambitious woman determined to arrest Frank for violating police protocol. However, Frank and Ed trace Richard to a packed UFC arena, confident the device is hidden there. Beth, in disguise, arrives with the goal of avenging her brother. She attempts to shoot Richard, but her pistol is empty, and he easily disarms her, taking her captive. Meanwhile, Frank ascends the arena's upper platforms, searching for the plot device. He locates it hidden within the structure. As he reaches for it, he nearly exposes it to the crowd, but with careful timing, he secures it in his hands. Richard and his armed men appear, surrounding him. Frank, aware of Richard's obsession with the device, aims at the plot device rather than Richard. Predictably, Richard activates the device with a hidden button. Chaos erupts. The crowd loses control, attacking one another. Richard and his team escape on motorcycles, using the disorder to their advantage. Frank tries to follow using a car, but it malfunctions. Just as hope seems lost, a massive bird appears, giving Frank a unique way to pursue them. Mounted on the bird, Frank attacks Richard's team one by one, knocking them off their motorcycles. As he nears Richard, the bird drops bat droppings that hit Richard directly. Startled, Richard falls from his lead motorcycle, giving Frank an advantage. Richard tries to fight back, but is no match for Frank's experience and skill. Frank restrains him firmly. Meanwhile, Beth frees herself from Richard's men. Furious, she points her pistol at Richard. Frank stops her, urgently saying, "I love you, Beth. I don't want to lose you. If you kill him, you'll be arrested. I want to live with you." Forever overcome with emotion, Beth lowers the pistol. She then deactivates the plot device, restoring control over the crowd. With Richard captured and the device neutralized by Beth, Frank restores order. The arena slowly returns to calm. Frank and Beth, reunited and emotionally connected, share a moment of relief, their bond stronger than ever. Richard is taken into custody, finally defeated. The film ends with Frank and Beth sitting together in the ambulance. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Thank you for watching.